amazed that he actually knew who I was.
Yeah?
I know that sounds
He knew?
stupid. Yeah, absolutely shocked and amazed.
What did he said?
"Ah, Mr. Harrison, you're here. Thank you very much. You are our hero." I said, "Sir, I'm no hero. You're a hero. You know, you were in the thick of things. You were a hero." And he said, no, we need you, you know. Amazing. It really brightened my day up meeting him.
Yeah, that's a very, very special feeling.
Yeah.
Meeting with your ex-co-fighters and especially with ex-commanders. I'm trying to get back 27 years before. It's a long time, John. Of course, it's 27 years. How do you remember the main guys there? You have met Agim Ramadani, but you have not met Sali, Çekaj. What were your emotions, and of course your what is your remembering towards that situation, or those people that are here for us?
I met Agim in a very awkward situation. He was coming out of the shower when I was going in, so it was a very difficult meeting, that. But we sat down and we had lunch together in the little house that we had. And I found him to be one of the most intelligent, careful thinking, most amazing men I've ever met. You know, and later after the war, when I found out about his history, and his wife showed me a book that he wrote about telecommunications in the battlefield. And it was, for somebody to write that in the 90s, even today would be amazing. And when he died, we all felt it.
Do you remember that day?
Yeah.
Can you explain us more?
We got a message down, the commander's dead. And then everybody's going, which commander? Which bloody commander? Because there were so many. Which commander? And it came back that it was Agim. And you could see everybody's faces drop. Literally, just the life went out of people. And it was...
The morale fell down.
Yeah. In Popeye, it was my job. Ghani, who was the chief of Popeye at the time, it was our job to get their morale back up, to get them more concentrated on backup, getting revenge, if anything, for Agim. And that was a very, very difficult 48 hours after we heard about his death. Very difficult.
Who took charge to get back the morale towards the soldiers and the captains and the other commanders who were part of that battle?
I think every commander took it upon themselves. Who got the commanders up and running, I don't know.
Rustem Berisha, maybe?
Maybe. I always found Rustem Berisha, although I love him to bits, a very, very quiet man, but very thinking strategically. He was amazing at it. Anton Chuni, very focused in what he had to do, what he wanted his men to do. But he was always he is the type of person that would spend time with his men, no matter what. So I think it was the individual commanders helped and did what we needed to do, bring up the morale, ready to continue the fight if necessary, as much as and as long as we needed to go.
And do you remember what time of the year was the time that Agim Ramadani died?
That was 9th of April.
That was?
April.
April.
9th of April, yeah.
And during that time, and that was the time when NATO was bombing Serbia and ex-Yugoslavia, and of course the positions here in Kosovo. Have you believed in that time that the freedom and the win will come for Albanian Kosovars towards the Serbian regime or Serbian occupators?
There was a lot of indifference about the NATO bombing because it had turned out, we found out after the war, that although we were passing on coordinates for attack back to NATO.
Who was doing that?
It was mainly Cobra.
Cobra?
Who was the...
Nasser Vlasi?
Yeah.
Yes.
It was his unit who were developing the intelligence to go back to NATO via the brigade. And the problem was that information was going back to NATO headquarters in Brussels. French officers were seeing it and then passing it back through Serbian channels. By the time NATO jets got to those coordinates, the Serbians had actually dissipated from that area. And a lot of people felt very down on that they weren't getting the targets they needed to get. I would say probably about 50% of the targets were hit. You know, which was, if they could have hit more, then maybe we could have pushed more.
Once, even Kosovo was a target for NATO troops or NATO planes.
Yes.
What was the story of that? It was a mistake, or it was on purpose?
No, it's hard for me to say because it was actually the Royal Air Force that bombed Kosovo. They actually bombed Babina first, and then later on nearer our front lines. We don't know if they were given the wrong coordinates, or we don't know.
Yes.
No, I don't think there's ever been an investigation into why they dropped ordnance on our side. It would be nice to have found out, but I know we lost one man on that.
One man?
Yeah, one man at Delta.
It was an Albanian Kosovar? Or,
that is correct, yeah.
Or a foreigner?
No, he's not.
And what was the impact of that incident?
Anger.
Anger?
A lot of anger. We always joked NATO was Uçaka Air Force. You know, it was our Air Force. But after that attack, after that mistake, there was a lot of animosity in the air about NATO bombing. Would they do it again? Would they make that mistake again? Luckily, they didn't. But that one hurt. But
surely you didn't have the luxury to think regarding NATO as an enemy, because you had the enemy in front of you.
That is correct.
And that was the Serbian forces. How do your co-soldiers or your people that you were training remember Sali Çekaj or his impact in Kosovo?
That's hard for me to answer because obviously I don't know what they're thinking.
If you remember during those times, because they were mentioning he was
because I didn't personally know Sali Çekaj. But again, I saw the loss just a couple of days after we lost Agim. We lost Sali. And that loss again was felt so deeply within the brigade. That again, we had to pick the lads up, pick the morale up, and carry on.
But Sali Çekaj's death in the front line gave the soldiers a bigger morale.
Yes,
and
much so. Much so. It sort of like gave them a bit of energy and a bit of spirit to
fight.
In there.
And to
bit of revenge
and to finish the job.
We knew we would win.
Yeah. And what about the other guys you mentioned before? Anton Çuni. I want to remember Jafer Gashi. I want to remember Nasim Haradinaj and all of those guys. Do you remember during that time? What were they doing? Did they had divisions, political divisions in the battlefield, or during the battlefield they forgot about the political animosities and they kept fighting with the same enemy?
When people came to me, first thing I said, you leave politics at the door. I don't care about politics. You're here to be a soldier.
Was this your message towards them?
This was my message.
Yeah.
You're here to be a soldier. You're one people. But there were politics involved. You could see it. Mm-hmm. I saw it. And I was very naive to it at the time. Myself and Nassim Haradinejad, yes, we did get into an argument, literally nose to nose.
Yeah? You did?
Yeah.
Why? Do you remember that argument?
I don't. No, this is the stupid thing. I don't remember what it was about. All I remember is I was shouting at him at the top of my voice. And obviously I stand probably that much over him. So I was leaning over him.
And it's scary to realize and to see soldiers shouting with each other because they have guns with each other. So that's too risky.
At that time, I wasn't actually carrying a weapon. Nassim had a sidearm, and yes, his hand was on it.
Mm-hmm. Nassim is loud, and he says that he's direct. You know.
Yeah, but I'm louder.
You're loud as well.
Oh, I'm loud.
Yeah.
When I need to be, I can get very loud.
I can imagine that situation.
Well, I had to be pulled away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then after that, did you shake hands with him? No.
Not to this day.
Have you met him?
No.
No.
No. There's a few things that's happened over the years. Nassim blocked my membership to Çekaj Association. Kept telling me I can't be a member of the association if I wasn't a Kosovar. Okay.
Are you sure about that? Because I don't know Nassim as such that guy.
No,
you know?
I know him as that guy.
No.
The same.
Because I'm going to ask him about.
You ask him, yeah, that's fine. Mm-hmm. And also the same. The Çekaj Association agreed when I had my collection, when I had a brain tumor. They were going to give me 3,000 euros. Mm-hmm. I actually have the document on my phone. And he stopped it. As far as I've been told, he stopped it.
Are you sure about this?
This is what I've been told.
You've been told?
I've been told this.
Maybe someone is thinking bad about that, because I'm not sure.
I've heard it from 3 different people. Mm-hmm. I'm sure each of them didn't get together and decide to tell me that.
I will double check this.
Please do.
I will double check this. But
I would shake his hand today. I've got no problem in that.
Yeah, you will?
Yeah. Mm. It's 27 years ago.
But the interesting thing is, and the profound thing in that situation, not speaking about Haradina or that case, is that you have beaten cancer.
Yes.
You have been told by the doctors that you will live only 16 months, and you have beaten cancer. I've
actually beaten 3 cancers.
You've beaten 3 cancers?
Yeah.
How come, John? This is an amazing story.
No idea. No idea. Everybody says,
Tell us
you're
more
a fighter.
About that.
I'm not a fighter. I just came through it. The first one, I had bowel cancer, the age of 39, which is apparently very, very young to have it. Got through that, carried on, and about, 6 years later, I started having bad headaches. And no matter what I took, tablets, I couldn't get rid of a headache. So went to the doctor, MRI, you have a brain tumor about the size of an egg, just here in my brain. And it can't be operated on. You've got 16, 18 months to live, maximum. The hardest thing I've ever done in my life was tell my mum.
During that time, she was alive?
During that time, she was alive. Sorry. It gets quite emotional there. That was the hardest thing I ever did, was tell my mum that I'm dying. Because a child is never supposed to die before their parents. Mm-hmm. And during that time, I found Layla. She watched our first interview, as we've said before. And we were together at this point. And she was the driving force to raise money. Dr. Advili, who was in Hadeze at the time, he's now in Guksa.
Hadeze in Croatia?
Yes, yeah. No, in Kosovo.
Hadeze?
No, sorry, LDK.
LDK.
Sorry.
Yeah, LDK.
He actually said, no, you could use gamma knife. Never heard of it. And in England at that time, you had to pay for gamma knife. It wasn't available on the NHS. And Layla was the driving force to raise money to keep me alive. If it wasn't for her, I'd be dead in a box.
So this is very emotional.
Yeah. And
not
the last cancer I had was spinal. I had a very, very small tumor on the bottom of my spine.
You mentioned small piece. How did you met your wife? Tell us more about the new viewers that haven't seen that first interview. Maybe this is
I blame you.
To cherish the moment.
I blame you. Layla came home.
Guilty as charged.
Layla came home from medical university, where she was studying to be a doctor. And she did something she swears she never did. She turned on the television and she was flicking through the channels and she saw our interview, first ever one. And she went, who's this person? He fought for it. Why don't I know this person? And she found me on Facebook and she sent me a lovely message saying, thank you very much for all you did for us. And if there's anything I can ever do, please don't hesitate to ask. No, thank you very much. You know, it was my honor to be there and it was my honor. And we just kept talking and talking. It did feel like she was stalking me at one stage. But one thing that got me, it came my birthday in 2016. And somehow Layla managed to find someone who makes cakes in my city and actually sent me a birthday cake.
Interesting.
Yeah. That to me blew me out of the water. And then I came in October 2016 and we met for the first time at the airport and she hugged me. And I felt like she broke a couple of ribs. Honest to God, for a little person, she could hug. And from that moment, I knew if anything was to happen, this is the woman I want to marry.
And you're happy?
Yeah. We married on the 14th of April, 2023. And unfortunately, we had COVID at the time. We spent our honeymoon in a hospital. But it was the best day I've ever had. I got to marry the love of my life. You know, it took me 53 years to find her. But it was worth the wait.
This is very emotional and this is very direct and very sincere from your side. I hope she's seeing this and
I hope so too.
She's feeling the emotions, John. And now you're completely Kosovar. You have a Kosovar wife, so you have the Kosovar documents. And 27 years after, how do you see Kosovo? How do you see the building of the state when you were first? You know, you were fighting for creating the state. Now Kosovo is an independent state and still struggling, but the situation is completely different.
Situation is completely different. The landscape is completely different. Pristina, the tallest building when I came here first, was the Grand Hotel. Now look at it. It's amazing. Maybe one or two many apartments are being built, but it is the transformation is amazing. The country itself, yes, it has transformed. I wish it could just pull a little bit more together. You know.
In which way?
In every way. Investment, political, governmental. Just come together as we did in '99. We all came together then. Why can't we come together now?
Seeing no political parties.
Yeah.
Becoming one for the interest of the country.
The politicians need to work for the people, not for personal interests or any interest. Their number one priority is the people.
How do you see the politicians here in Kosovo in your way? Because I can see that during the social media you have a lot of context and you see the developments here in Kosovo, and you comment there.
I used to comment a lot more.
Yes,
but I was requested to relax a little bit, which I've done.
By whom?
By certain people. I was asked to relax a little bit, which I've done. You know, sometimes I've had to bite my tongue very hard, very hard. How do I see it? I just wish they'd pull something out of the hat.
How do you see the Prime Minister, for example, Mr. Kursi?
I actually like him. I really do like him. I like the policies he's brought through, some of the policies he's brought through. I like some of them that he wants to bring through. But his job all falls down to money. How much has he got? And unfortunately, Kosovo's not got a lot.
Yeah, Kosovo is a small state.
You know, it's not got a lot. So I spend 10 million on constant elections. Put it into the health service. Put it into the police.
Yeah,
they could do with it. Put it into the army. They need it. Not constant elections.
He put a lot of money in the army, but do you think that's necessary? Do you think Serbia is still a threat?
Yes.
For Serbia?
Yes.
Why?
They've been rearming for the last 27 years. They're not rearming for fun. 12% of their GDP goes on the forces.
Yeah.
12%. No NATO country is at 12%. The only country higher than them is Russia. That's scary.
But is it realistic that Serbia could attack Kosovo, seeing in the focus that here within Kosovo is NATO, within Kosovo is bond steel, within Kosovo is United States, Great Britain, Germany, France, everyone? We have KFOR here.
Look at it this way. President Trump is looking to pull out of NATO, at least if he reduces his NATO contribution, which is 50% at the moment, to 25%. That means KFOR will have to reduce its troops here.
Not necessary.
Not necessarily. Yeah, they've only got a small amount of troops that they can bring back. Yeah. They would expect Europe to take over their position. And what is KFOR now? 4,000 troops? It's not really a lot. Out of that 4,000, how many of those are fighting men? Probably 2,700. Serbia can amass that a day.
But it is not necessary to have a larger number of the troops when you have close here, Italy, you have all the places that are part of NATO.
As we spoke earlier today.
Or you have Turkey on the other side, so you have.
But we had that in '99 as well, and they still came in.
'99 was a different situation. Well, Romania was not part of NATO, Croatia was not part of NATO. Czech Republic was not part of NATO. Turkey was in different position. Yugoslavia was more powerful. Albanians weren't so powerful. The landscape, the political landscape was very different. Russia was not powerful in that time.
Yeah.
So it was completely different situation.
Yeah.
Now it's a different one.
But you're talking about NATO, but Kosovo is not a NATO member.
Yeah, it is not.
No, it's
sure.
not. So Article
But Albania is.
Yeah, but Albania wouldn't be attacked. Kosovo would be. That would not trigger Article 5.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, NATO countries were not going to help. So I said to you earlier today, I think if Serbia ever tried anything, it would be when China go into Taiwan. Because the world would concentrate over there in Taiwan.
Mm-hmm.
And it would lose focus here. That would be Serbia's green light. That would be the green light if there ever was one.
A lot of people thought that when Russia attacked Ukraine and when they did an aggression, that would be a situation for Serbia to attack Kosovo. Serbia in one moment attacked Kosovo during the Banjska's case.
Yes.
And you have seen that.
Yes, I did.
And
I think
what was your opinion about that?
If Russia had taken Ukraine, then it would have been a steady stream of arms and people through. Yeah, there would have been a pathway through. But because they got stopped, it stopped the plans of further domination.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think the attack, what was it, 2 years ago now?
On Ukraine?
No, the attack
The
in
Banjska, yes, 2 years ago.
2 years ago. I think that was just a feeler. Them testing the border, testing the reactions of KFOR, testing the reactions of FSK, testing the reactions of the police.
Mm-hmm.
They gained a lot of information there. And unfortunately, they all walked back to take that information back. Yeah, they should have been held. They should have been put in a court. They should have been sentenced. We let them go with all the information they had gathered. They could take that and draw up a comprehensive plan of attack.
Mm-hmm.
Don't forget, since that attack, we've also seen footage of CCTV of Serbian troops walking around villages around Mitrovica.
Mm-hmm. And especially around the border.
Yes.
Training and...
They're training. Paintball, they're calling it.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it's paintball guns. But they're using tactics. In the area they're going to be fighting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I hope to God FSK wake up to this. Police wake up to this. Yeah. I don't think FSK, although it's a good force, brilliant force, and a lot of good, strong men in there, and women. Armament-wise, they are no match for Serbia. No match whatsoever. They've bought Rafale fighters, brand new tanks from Russia. Yeah. They've just bought out an anti-material rifle that fires autocannon rounds, which I wouldn't like to be on the end of one of those. Mm-hmm. That would destroy a Humvee. And that's all we've bought is Humvees. A couple of armored personnel carriers.
But I'm sure you know that Kosovo cannot buy arms.
We're restricted.
They are restricted without getting a special permission. So,
but I think it's time
to change.
We need to go for the special permission. We need to say, look, we need a regiment of at least 10 tanks. Croatia, in the next few years, are going to be selling...
FSK doesn't have any chopper, any helicopters. You know that?
We would never win with air power against Serbia. Never.
But you should have an air power when you have an FSK.
I agree, you should have...
And you know that FSK is not allowed to go in the northern part.
Yeah. Yes, I agree, you should have transport helicopters. Yeah, fast delivery of troops.
Mm-hmm.
I fully agree with that. And yes, that needs to be looked into in the future. And I'm sure they're looking into it. FSK not being allowed into the north. Really? That's stupid.
Yeah, that is. Because that is a political decision with the ex-chairman of NATO, signed by ex-president and ex-prime minister Faci.
Republic.
Excuse me?
This is a sovereign republic. Yeah. We're not part of Serbia. This is the Republic of Kosovo. Our troops should be allowed to patrol every single centimeter of our border.
In northern part as well?
Yes. Yes. And not come under any attack. That should be Kosovan right. To go there and show this is our land.
But on the other hand, John, there is a political process in Brussels.
Yeah.
It is a dialogue between Kosovo and Serbia. It got stuck. It still is 15 or 16 years later. And do you see a will by both powers to get a...
There's a will by Kosovan side, not by Serbian side.
Why do you see so?
They keep moving the barrier. They keep moving the finishing line. They don't want to recognize Kosovo. Even though if they recognized it, they would have one step closer to EU membership. Mm-hmm. But they don't want to recognize Kosovo. They still, in their heads, believe Kosovo is their born right, and it's not. In fact, so what I've heard from history, parts of Serbia should belong to Albania. Parts of Macedonia, parts of Montenegro should belong to Albania or Albanian people. Yeah, we don't go there and say, this is our land. Why should they come here and say, this is theirs?
Why do you think so?
Because they're pig-headed. They've got no rhyme, reason, or want. I'm hoping the new generation of Serbia, the ones who are going out now and protesting against Vučić,
yes,
will grow up and say, that's Kosovo, fine, leave it.
You were part of Croatian war as well?
Yes.
Rat za domovina?
Yes.
Is it called...
Domovinsko rata.
Domovinsko rata. Domovinsko rata.
Homeland war.
Yeah, homeland war. And do you think the Croatian treated Serbia better than Albanians did?
Oof.
During the war and after the war?
During the war, Croatia did exactly what we did. We did what we needed to do to get the job done. Mm. We did not match the ferocity and the anger that Serbia had towards Croats, Bosnians, Kosovars. We didn't have that. Not for the units I was with, anyway. But Croatia, again, same as Kosovo, had the will to win. Had the will to win. And that went a long way.
You were part as a Delta Force or member of special forces within UK army. You were part of the Gulf War.
Yes,
as well?
That's correct. Yeah.
During which time?
1991.
1991.
Well, 1990, 1991.
How do you remember that time? What was your role at that time?
We had just finished a 8-week deployment in Texas. Mm-hmm. And our aircraft then got stuck on the way back in Goose Bay in Canada, which, coming from Texas, which is one of the hottest places on the earth, and going to minus 30 degrees centigrade for 2 weeks because our aircraft broke down. Mm-hmm. Landing in England and then being told you're being deployed to the Gulf. We had no summer kit, no desert kit, so we went in green uniforms. Mm-hmm. And we went in what's called autumn lightweights. So we thought, it's the desert, it's going to be hot. I have never been so cold at night in the desert. That's what I remember most, is it's so damn cold. And the spiders.
And the spiders.
Spiders and scorpions. Hated them. But we also, I remember El Kafire, it was a little town just over the border in Kuwait, from Kuwait into Saudi Arabia. It was in the northern sector, which was our sector. The Americans didn't tell us they were going into the town. So we came up on the south side of the city, or town, and all of a sudden they started shooting at us. And for 8 hours, we were shouting on the radio, blue on blue, which means you're firing friendlies. They didn't stop shooting at us. So our commanding officer said, what the hell? Fire back, but fire high. So that's what we did for 8 hours.
How many times did you stay there during that, all the war?
Yeah, basically. I got I got demobilized from Operation Granby, which was our name for the first Gulf War. The war stopped in June, 26th of June. I left there about the 15th of July and got home. And I thought, that's it. I've done my war.
And you saw Balkans on fire?
No, no, it wasn't even that. I'd done my war and I decided to leave the Royal Air Force.
Okay.
And I handed in my papers. At that time, because I had a contract, I actually had to pay to leave the Royal Air Force.
Oh.
Yeah.
Sorry for that.
Well, it's one of those things. And 2 months later, I sat at home and I watched a documentary about Vukovar.
Yeah.
And I just thought, these poor so-and-sos were fighting with shotguns against the T-72. They were firing shotguns and First World War bolt-action rifles at jets flying over. They had no chance. So, like an idiot, I sold everything I owned. Everything I owned. And went to Croatia. Got on a train, which took 4 days, and ended up in Zagreb.
You were all the time in Zagreb, or you went to Dubrovnik or other places?
I went everywhere. Vinkovci, Osijek, Oraše, northern Bosnia, Novo Selo, which was Bosanski Brod. I went Vinkovci, Gospić, Karlovac.
Yes. Every place.
Seine. Velebit.
That is in
Dubrovnik.
In different positions. And then when the war in Croatia stopped, you went in Bosnia as well?
No,
a little bit with the Croatians?
Even during the Croatian army, I was lent out to Bosnia. And I spent a lot of time in Livno.
Yes.
In Operativna Zona 4.
And when you saw the Dayton agreement between Tudjman, Izetbegovic and Milosevic in the United States, that was the ending of the war in Bosnia and as well in Croatia. How did you connect with Albanians, and how did you came here in Kosovo? What were the connections?
Again, there was quite a bit on the news that was happening. And at that time, UÇK was a terrorist organization, according to the world. And I never thought myself as a terrorist, but I needed to come.
To see if they are terrorists or not?
No.
Or you believe that they were not terrorists?
I believe they're not terrorists. I wouldn't come if I thought that. But as I said to you, I came because I said never again.
Never again?
Never again. Never again would Serbia create another
And
Srebrenica.
your first contact was Bayram Gecaj in London,
Bayram
right?
Gecaj and Talapljane. They were my only contacts in London. First I met Taljat, and then I met Bayram, who interviewed me several times before they let me come.
Yes.
And they bought me an airline ticket to Bari. And for Bari, airline ticket to Naples.
To Naples, yeah. And you went to
And then
Bari.
from Naples, I had to find my own way to Bari, which was very difficult. And then I got on the boat and I was met in Tirana. And then I was taken to the Kosovan embassy in Tirana. And there I met Colonel Krasniqi.
Ahmet Krasniqi.
Yeah.
Yeah. The late Ahmet Krasniqi.
Very late. Yeah, unfortunately. And
then you went to Papay.
No, not straight away.
Not straight away.
I was in Tirana training troops and just outside Tirana training troops. I also had to train, I was also given Albanian forces to train as well. I think Albanian forces or some officer was watching what I was doing and asked, could I put them through the training as well? Yeah, no problem. And then later on I went to Popeye. And basically my orders were to take over training of Delta. And I was just told to get them ready.
Have you seen the documentaries, the Serbian documentaries about Kosovo?
Oh, the joke films, yeah.
They're the joke films? You call them a joke film? Why?
Because of what they claim. That there was the SAS, Delta Force, the Navy SEALs, everybody, the French Foreign Legion, everybody was coming over Kosovo to kill all the Serbs.
Is that true?
No. First over went Delta and then the brigade followed.
Why do you think they do such a documentaries about Kosovo?
Because Serbia always wants to feel the victim. Yeah, they were the victim in Croatia. They were the victim in Bosnia. They were always the victim. They always play the victim, no matter what.
Yeah.
You know, and if there was an Olympics for being a victim, they would win gold medal. I feel very, very strongly about that.
But on the other hand, you don't have any documentaries, any Albanian-produced documentaries or neutral documentaries or video materials about Kosovo.
No, we don't.
Why is that, and what is your message towards those people that they can do?
I wish we could do one. Well, a lot of the guys are still alive.
Yeah.
I know Mike Spath is trying to write a book.
Yeah.
And he's also trying to get a film made about it. And I wish him all the best for that.
Yeah.
People keep asking me to write a book.
You should.
I did try and write. I've written some bits and pieces. I've got a contract to write a book from an American publishing company. I've gotten 2 years to produce that.
Yeah.
So I'm still mulling it over in my head because I believe my memories are mine. And there's a lot of things in my memories that I don't ever want people to know. Not bad things on my side, but things I've seen.
Yeah.
That should never be seen by another human being or even talked about.
Yeah. I'm saying something internal to you. I had a 3 or 4 times conversation with Rustem Berishaj, and he was insisting to make a documentary about Kosovo. And he was insisting for me to do that. Yeah. And I'm still thinking to do that.
Do it. Do it. Without a shadow of a doubt, do it.
I will try to do it.
To me, and I'm not being biased, you are the interviewer of Kosovo. You are the face of interviews.
Thank you very much, John.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
There is no one better that could tell the story of Kosovo, of the struggles of our men. than you. You could put a human face on that story.
For sure, I will try to do that, but I will do it only in one condition.
What's that?
If I can really do it well.
Yeah.
Not well, but super well.
Yeah.
Super well.
Well, as long as you talk to every single person and get everybody's take and then build that story from there. That is the only thing. Because these guys deserve it.
Yeah.
These guys, 138 Brigade, Delta Force, Cobra, these guys deserve, all of Uçaka deserve that to be memorialized. They deserve it to be there forever, for their children to watch, their children's children. So they carry on and go to Kosovari in our names.
Yeah. 27 years later, John, Kosovo is an independent state, still have struggles, but has developed and he has evolved a lot. But 27 years later, Kosovo is dealing with specialist courts. And still we're expecting a judgment from the specialist court towards the four commanders of ex-KLA, speaking about Hashim Thaçi, Kadri Veseli, Jakub Krasniqi and Recep Selimi. The decision is still waited to come. Is expected to be on May or in June. But what do you think about that process and what happened here when you were here? You have lived that situation of war.
What they are claiming, I've never seen. Yeah, which for such a small army, I find it very strange that there's not much more evidence and not many more people have seen it. I don't know if it's true or not, but whichever way the verdict comes, some people will be unhappy. Mm-hmm. There may be people on the streets. If they're found not guilty, completely exonerated, Serbia will again play the victim and they'll be up in arms. I can promise you that. Vučić will be straight on the television condemning it. If they're found guilty, we will be complaining that it's been unfair. Where are the Serbian people in those courts?
What is your personal expectation, John? What is your personal expectation?
I'm hoping not guilty.
You're hoping?
Not guilty. Mm-hmm. Exoneration. These men deserve to come home to their families. What other court in the world keeps people in prison that are not murderers or mad terrorists? Keep them away from their families until the guilty verdict. Whatever happened to innocent until proven guilty? Whatever happened to that? These guys haven't had that. These gentlemen, whether they be guilty or innocent, have not deserved the last few years. Their families have definitely not deserved it.
How do you think Kosovo should see those guys that are dealing with specialist courts in Hague? How they should be treated by Kosovar people? They were part of. They were commanders.
Yeah,
they
were
of KLA.
Yeah.
How do you think they?
You know,
they should be
Katrin Veseli, he was a great fighter. Stories I've heard about him. Should they be treated as heroes if they return? No. Should they be treated as honored men? Yes. I don't believe anybody's a hero. Heroes, unfortunately, we laid in the ground. They're the heroes. Us who remain standing, we're not heroes. None of us. We're just men who have done a job.
You don't believe in live heroes?
No.
Why?
People call me a hero. I'm no hero. Never believed it. I don't see myself as that. I don't see anybody as that. As I said, heroes are the people we lost, the martyrs in the war. Those are the real heroes. Mm-hmm. Those are the people we honor every single day, every single year. Us who are alive, we don't honor ourselves. We just carry on day to day to day.
John Harrison, it was a pleasure having you here again in Politiko, and
thank you very much.
My show is, and our television is always open to discuss with you and to share your opinions.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.